This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome in on a Monday to the Monday Mashup, celebrating a Michigan State win finally in basketball or football over Michigan without Nick Ward, without Jeremy Langford. They said it couldn't be done.
And yet they did it.
And yet, Cassius Winston went in their house and kicked him in the mouth.
Shout out to the Catholic League.
Let's go. Let's go, Spartans. Go green.
Go white.
Happy time to be a Spartan fan. Locked up, had to have locked up Big Ten Player of the Year, Cassius Winston.
Yeah, like I said, I don't watch a whole lot of college basketball, but I watch enough to know that's a fact.
Like, every time I watch him, this year especially, like, there's been times I've watched him in the past where he was really streaky. And, like, especially last year, there were times when I'd watch him and I thought, like, maybe this guy's not the guy that's going to carry us through a tournament. This year, he looks like the type of guy that can carry you through a tournament. Like a Big Ten tournament or otherwise.
I will agree with you in part. But I also thought that about Denzel Valentine once upon a time.
Well, didn't we get to the Final Four?
That was 1 year. And then there was a pretty glaring next year when we lost to a 15 seed.
So there was the final. Yeah, but that happens to everybody. Like Duke lost to Mercer. Duke lost to Lehigh. Come on.
So it happens to two people.
Two seeds lose all the time.
The two seeds that have lost, I'm pretty sure it's like Michigan State, Duke, and Missouri.
It happened so often. That year, too, I picked Missouri to win it all. I was furious.
Who beat? It was Kyle Quinn.
Didn't Georgetown do it, too? I think Georgetown lost as a 2.
Yeah, Florida Gulf Coast. Were they 2?
Yeah.
What team did Kyle?
Because I picked Georgetown to win it all, too.
Yeah. That's tough pick.
Florida Gulf, like, there's nothing that puts you on the map quite like a big upset. What did they call them
again? Dunk City or something like that?
Who, Georgetown?
No, Florida Gulf Coast.
Oh, God. I can't remember what they called it, but it was like Florida Gulf Coast then was on the map in college athletics.
It was the dude who played high school
months.
with Austin Rivers. And
yes.
Yeah,
and then like Wichita State goes on a big tournament run, and they're on the map in college basketball for like
VCU
3 years.
From the play-in, they were the 11 seed play-in game, and they went all the way there.
Yeah,
That's
Final
the only
Four.
time that Shaka Smart ever did anything, and it got him the Texas job.
That was a cool run too. That was a year where like VCU went and like a 7 seed went too. Oh, I'm going to Vegas for March Madness. This has been on my bucket list my whole life.
That's a good place to be.
I think it's going to be absolutely insane. What a week.
Heck of a week.
So it's always like NBA All-Star break, the week after the Major League Baseball All-Star game are the two slowest weeks in sports of the entire year. Because like the Super Bowl's over, the NFL's gone, NBA goes on hiatus, nobody watches hockey, let's be honest.
And now it used to be fun because they had the deadline like the week after. But now it's like
there's
no traded. Yeah.
And there's no news.
No,
it's just nothing coming out of the NBA.
Out of the NBA, sure. There was some news though.
But instead of like being a slow news week, Zion blew through his shoe like nothing I've ever seen before. It hurt Nike stock.
I would say very much so.
Adidas is like chomping at the bit because now they think they're going to get all the signings. Nobody wants to sign with Nike anymore.
I thought that Zion was an Under Armour circuit guy. Like they do the circuits now at AU where like all these kids are locked to a shoe company by the time they're 16. I thought he was Under Armour.
I heard that like through high school he was basically signed with Adidas.
I know he went to the Under Armour camps. I've seen the videos of him at the Under Armour camps, but I don't know. I could be way off.
And then he's wearing the Nike Paul Georges. Like, dude, of course you're going to get
Duke has to wear Nikes.
Right, but of course you're going to get injured wearing Paul George shoes.
But even on top of that, like the thing that everybody said was he had been wearing those shoes for like a month. Why?
Which is wild. Like
why
at that point, the duct tape should have been on them already.
You
like
know
especially how much, and how much wear he has to. Like he plays basketball 7 days a week. You know how much wear you're going to put into those shoes?
Like even if they're just your game shoes, after a month, I mean, you've played 8 or 9 games, right?
He blew through them too. Yeah. I've never seen anything like
they
that.
Exploded.
That was crazy.
Like
and
JFK's head.
Then seriously, and then we had nerd Darren Ravel going off on Nike.
I was waiting for it too. The second it blew up, I tweeted like the second it blew up, like, oh, he should never wear another swoosh again. And then I was just waiting for Ravel to be like, Nike stocks plummet.
I did look, and then he tweeted something again like the next morning. Oh, Nike's 1.2 billion against market cap because of their stock hit.
What?
Like, shut up, Ravel. Like, just let everybody enjoy a meme.
LeBron will go for 50. They'll make it back tomorrow.
So, not only did Zion blow through a shoe, Jim Boeheim literally killed somebody.
Every time I watch Jim Boeheim, I have to give him the Ray Lewis treatment.
Not quite. Somebody was on Twitter. They're like reading the headline, and it was Jim Boeheim was behind the wheel of a vehicle that hit and killed.
They basically blame the car for the murder.
Right. But and then somebody like quotes it and goes, "This is a really roundabout way of saying Jim Boeheim is a murderer." And I'm like, are we really calling this guy? It's like vehicular manslaughter at worst. We're really calling this guy a murderer.
Every single time I see Ray Lewis on television, and I mean every single time, I say out loud, "There's noted murderer Ray Lewis."
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to do that for Jim Boeheim.
Exactly, because Ray Lewis, Jim Boeheim didn't leave a bloody shirt in a dumpster outside a nightclub in Atlanta. Like, Jim Boeheim was on an icy road, and some guy was walking on the freeway for some reason.
Like, dude, rule number one of getting in an accident on the freeway is stay in your car, right? Like, don't get out of the car and walk around the freeway.
Tough look for Jim Boeheim. Like, obviously, he's old. He already had one issue this year where he went mini viral. And it was kind of sad because it's more due to a disease, but he pissed himself during a game.
I did not know about this.
Yeah, he went mini viral on Twitter.
It must have been mini viral because it did not get to me.
I saw a picture here, and I to this day, I haven't even gotten the final word on this. I swear I'm hoping that it was a Photoshop, and like I'm going full Mike Francesa right here. But
what did he have the other day? He had something wild the other day. I saw it.
When he didn't know the Photoshop of Todd Gurley.
No,
that was insane.
It was something I forget. Deezus and Miro roasted him for something, and I can't remember what it was. But
he's been saying just really absurd things lately.
Oh yeah, he's Mike Francesa.
Like it was just like whacked out things lately, like that don't make any sense. What was the one take I saw? All right, we don't have to get into Mike Francesa show, but
we'll go way off.
It's just like speaking of old people who are in jobs that maybe they shouldn't be anymore. But the weirdest thing about Jim Boeheim and killing a person was after all of this went down, they had their game against Duke, and he got a standing ovation.
Just like people really...
Like you went through trials and tribulations to get a standing ovation.
Maybe there's just no other way for a crowd to show that they have support other than standing and clapping.
Maybe like a moment of silence.
Yeah, like maybe just like stand up and like don't say anything. Just like put the guy's face on the TV or on the
moment of
screen
silence
and just kind of stand there.
I would probably not have put Jim Boeheim on the sideline that soon after literally killing somebody.
I mean, I'm sure that the AD at Syracuse is a figurehead, and Jim Boeheim does whatever he wants.
100%. But his name's on the basketball court, which, by the way, side note, is the coolest thing about college basketball and going into the Hall of Fame while you're active because you can put your name on the court while you're still coaching.
Must be nice.
It's sick. But yeah, like a standing ovation just didn't feel like, imagine being that family that just lost a person.
Yeah.
And you have to watch everybody give a standing ovation because Jim Boeheim went through real tough times.
It's like being a black person in the crowd in Milwaukee when they stand and give an ovation for Josh Hader after he had bad tweets.
Seriously. Oh, God, that was funny, too. Yeah. That was one of the funniest.
Why are you clapping for him? Like, I get it. You got his back. But, like, don't clap for a dude who just did that.
We're here with you. We appreciate you being problematic. Thanks for using the N-word on Twitter. We're sorry this happened to you.
Thank you for saying that you've grown as a person over the last 5 years.
You are so brave. And then in the biggest news of all, Robert Kraft rented a sex slave.
This happened a literal less than a mile away from where I live in Jupiter, Florida.
All-time brag by you, by the way.
I mean, is that a brag?
Elite
like,
brag.
That's just like saying, like, I live in a certain place and Robert Kraft happened to be there.
It's an elite brag.
Is it?
If people know the socioeconomic status of Jupiter, Florida.
Okay, I don't live in Jupiter, Florida. My parents live in Jupiter.
Family
My
has a house.
socioeconomic status is dirt poor. My parents have a home.
We're down the street from Tiger Woods.
Well,
it's
down the water.
Flex.
I can flex even harder. We're down the water from Tiger Woods, not down the street. But at the same time, like, right there, like right next to a place where we go for dinner regularly when we're in Jupiter.
So a massage parlor that employed foreign girls under the pretense of giving them jobs and then held them as sex slaves absolutely had to happen in Florida. That's some of the most Florida shit.
I mean, I feel like that's happening everywhere.
Well,
but yes,
of course. But like the way that this broke out with 100 different people. So
it was all over Florida. It wasn't just Jupiter either.
I'm sure it was.
Everywhere.
Now, everybody was like, I don't know what's worse, because I don't want to call Robert Kraft a human trafficker, because I don't know that he had any knowledge of like what was really happening. But I'm also not ready. Like, people are jumping on the internet, and Patriots fans especially, and just completely defending like, oh, he's just an lonely old man, and you're really gonna flame him over.
Seen Ricky Nolan?
I'm like, dude, he's been dating an actress for 7 years.
Didn't they just have a kid?
Also, well, apparently
she had a kid.
Apparently she had a kid. I don't think they had a kid.
That's a weird play.
Yeah, it's an interesting relationship, I would imagine. And like, they're not even married, so it can't be an insurance deal. Like, I don't have any idea what's going on there. All I know for sure is Robert Kraft was already a dickhead before this ever happened.
Probably.
Like, his wife died. He had a tribute season for her where they were wearing patches, and before those patches were even warm from the sew job, he was dating an actress half his age.
Yeah, I mean, billionaires, you know.
Weird, rich people do weird shit. No, I'm not going to get on him for...
Jeff Bezos is kind of weird, too. I heard they were together this weekend in L.A. So maybe it's just the billionaires thing.
It's true. Dude, rich people do weird shit.
At least we haven't seen Robert Kraft's text.
It's like when people get on Tom Brady because he's kissing everybody in sight on the lips.
I still think that's weird.
It is weird, but I'm like, dude, rich people do weird shit. It's just some rich people shit.
That one's weird to me. Don't kiss your kid once you like can shake his hand and feel the firmness of his grip. Don't kiss him on the mouth anymore.
It's like, dude, rich people do weird shit. Like, I'm not gonna say it's not weird, but it's just like Hillary Clinton. If those what was the story about the sex
they're not
orgies?
Rich, no.
Yeah, like rich people do weird shit, dude.
Yeah,
like they just get on their yachts and do these wild orgies and hold sex slaves, and it's weird.
That's a lot.
My takeaway from this entire thing is prostitution should just be legal.
Probably.
That's my big, because I feel like
at least like somewhat regulated.
Yeah, if you legalize it and regulate it, I think there would be a whole lot less servitude in the sex work industry.
I would imagine.
That's the biggest take for me.
Seems to work well for Vegas.
I don't know why Robert Kraft, like they said there's bigger names. It does seem to work well
I saw
for
that
Vegas,
there's a couple like big time CEOs, but there's nobody who's publicly more like high profile than Robert Kraft.
Which is like,
it's like a CEO of like, I forget what it was, some hedge fund or whatever.
Adam Schefter's kind of a dick for how he played that.
Well, Adam Schefter's kind of a dick in general.
True. Robert Kraft is not the biggest name in this bust, and then it's like, oh, actually,
then I'm just thinking of everyone who lives in Jupiter,
actually,
and I'm like, okay, well, Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, who are we talking about?
Yeah, Tiger Woods has a history. I'm like, oh, the president of the United States has a resort that he hangs out at that's 20 minutes away.
Like, there's a lot of decently high profile people in Jupiter. Nobody ridiculously famous, but like decently high profile.
Tiger Woods is ridiculously famous.
Tiger Woods. If Tiger Woods is stupid enough to go into a massage parlor, at this point, I don't even know.
He was writing his phone number on the back of Denny's receipts.
Yeah, but even then, like it wasn't like he was paying for it.
True.
Like, is a Perkins waitress and his neighbor's daughter and whoever else, but he never had to give anybody money.
That's true. You have to be a special kind of stupid to have that much money and that much fame and be walking into a massage parlor.
If you got that much money and you're not famous, go ahead.
Oh yeah,
spend it all on it.
Like all those, like that list of 24 guys or whatever that got dropped. Like you don't recognize a single name, but I'm sure they're all like hedge fund millionaires. Okay, so now we got to talk some actual sports.
Fun.
Some good takes. One, is LeBron a bad leader? Are we there? I think I've been there for a long time.
I'm not going to go there. Like, as a leader, he might be the greatest leader in the history of the NBA. He's dragged awful teams to finals. Michael Jordan never dragged a really bad team to the finals.
But is that being a leader, or is that just I'm this fucking good?
On the court, he's the best leader.
I'm this fucking good.
I mean, on the court, he's the best. He is the best player at making his teammates better ever.
Okay, I do agree with you to an extent, and then there's like the other side of me that looks at Dwayne. Like, I got into an argument a while ago where I said LeBron makes his players better, and then somebody was like, well, Dwayne Wade's true shooting percentage was down when he was playing with LeBron. I was like, it's because he was doing a different style of shooting than he was ever doing before in his career. He didn't have to draw fouls so much.
And even take the Miami years out. Like, because Miami, he didn't have to make people better.
Exactly.
Like, look at 07 in Cleveland. Look at 09 in Cleveland when they got to the conference finals with that same team and lost to Orlando. Like, look at all these situations where he's dragged teams into the playoffs.
Here's a really simple way of looking at how much LeBron makes players better. Tristan Thompson with LeBron, Tristan Thompson without LeBron. Tristan Thompson with LeBron was a walking double-double. And really good defender in playoff series. Tristan Thompson without LeBron is garbage.
The argument for is he better at making people better than Jordan is like, Jordan never had a season where he led his team in assists. LeBron has never had a season where he hasn't.
Exactly. And it's like, I don't know if he makes people better, but he activates the right parts of their game.
Yeah, sure. He gets out of them what they need.
So here's what's going on with LeBron this week. He said that he's ratcheting up the intensity. And
Zero
then
Dark 30 activated.
Yeah, playoff time.
Zero Dark 23, excuse me.
Yeah, it's playoff mode or whatever. Like, he's off social media, all this.
Because he stays off
shit.
social media.
Yeah,
sure
everybody believes it.
I bet.
Activates playoff mode. Looks really flat for 3.5 quarters against the Rockets.
His reactions to bad plays by his teammates are worse than they've ever been.
Yes, absolutely. And then he's like, the loss to the Pelicans when they didn't have Anthony Davis is borderline unacceptable.
I didn't watch most of the game, and then I checked the score, and I was like, oh, shit. And I turned it on, and I was like, oh, okay.
It's pretty much unacceptable. It's for you to activate playoff mode and then lose like that to the Pelicans. But
at home.
The way that he reacts to other teammates' plays is just abysmal.
His body language is worse this year than it's ever been.
Which is understandable because obviously he doesn't want most of these players. This is where I kind of think...
I don't think he wants any of them.
This is where I think LeBron is tough to play with because there's the part of him that's like, he's so good, he's going to activate the best parts of my game, but also he's going to tell me how we're brothers on the court and then go to Magic and say, I want all of them traded.
Do you want me to go in on Magic? Because I have a lot for Magic.
Yeah, let's go for Magic. And we'll get back to LeBron.
My thing with Magic, I've been a Magic Johnson fan theoretically my whole life.
He's a Spartan.
I grew up here. He's a Spartan. He was at Michigan State, if not the same time as my mom, right after. I don't understand why people blindly and blanketly believe that Magic Johnson at all knows what he's doing and can execute whatever plan he claims to have. He has not excelled in anything basketball related outside of playing basketball. His coaching tenure lasted 11 games. The trade for D'Angelo Russell for Brook Lopez is glaringly awful. And it's compounded and made worse by the fact that you let Brook Lopez walk for the contract that you gave to Michael Beasley.
And now Brook Lopez is playing all-star basketball in Milwaukee.
The two things that the Lakers need more than anything else that would immensely improve the Lakers are a ball-handling playmaker who can score at a high volume like D'Angelo Russell, or if they couldn't have that, it would be a center, a great rim-protecting big, which Brook Lopez is, who could step out and shoot from anywhere. Those two things would immediately catapult the Lakers from 9 to 6. They're both gone for no reason. Because you traded D'Angelo Russell.
Yep.
Because it was out of necessity for the locker room full of guys that you didn't care about and greatly aren't there anymore. What was the point of that? As a GM, as an executive, he has been awful so far. He has failed miserably. You can't even give him credit for signing LeBron and everything else that happened this summer.
Yeah, it wasn't Magic. It was L.A.
Yeah.
LeBron. And here's where I'll go this route. I have another thing on Magic, too. But actually, I'll do the Magic thing first. The worst thing to me that he ever did in his tenure as an executive was be so vocal and present about we are drafting Lonzo Ball at 2. The worst kept secret in the history of basketball drafts. That the Celtics were able to swap picks with the Sixers down from 1 to 3 and still know that they were getting their guy. I'm not going to say it's the worst thing he's ever done, but it's also another glaring detail. The reason it's bad is because of how bad Lonzo Ball is.
He is. He's not been good. When he's been healthy, he has shown flashes. He cannot shoot at all. He can't even shoot free throws.
His free throw percentage is 47%.
On 2 a game. On 2 a game, he doesn't even get to the line.
47%.
His
defense is excellent. I can't flame him for everything. He's a really good defender.
When he's locked in, when he tries, and he's a good rebounder, and he can start the break.
I have questions about his effort level. He is a good rebounder. He's a smart, he has good court vision, but I have questions about his effort level. He can't shoot.
No.
It doesn't seem like something he's really hell-bent on developing. And he's got the most toxic dad in the entire world.
That's a whole nother side tangent. I think that as far as improving the shot goes, I think he's willing to improve it. I don't think he wants to change his motion. I don't think he wants to do anything drastically ridiculous because I don't think he has any confidence.
That is probably an issue too. And again, this is where it doesn't help that you're playing with LeBron either. Like it can't when you're working on developing your game.
It might help if he could play.
Right. But when you're working on developing your game and like becoming the player you're supposed to be, next to LeBron is probably one of the two worst places.
Unless you're a
that.
shooter. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Which,
unless you're Boobie Gibson.
Side note, absolutely hysterical. That must be a shooter. Like, must be surrounded with shooters. LeBron could not make 3-point champion Joe Harris work in Cleveland.
That's another one. And another thing that I can glare at Magic for is that, like, the contracts they gave out this summer to surround around LeBron made absolutely no sense. Now a couple of them are gone. And on top of that, you're left with still guys who couldn't shoot. So at the deadline, you had to go out and scramble and find Reggie Bullock and Mike Muscala.
Like, it was so bad that it felt like Magic was desperately hanging on to Josh Hart in the Anthony Davis stuff because Josh Hart can kind of shoot.
It's
like their shooting is that bad.
And on top of it, like, you had a chance. It's not like there weren't shooters out there. Like, you could have gone and surrounded him with certain guys who'd been like, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
You could have drafted Jason Tatum. Like,
well, yeah, but even
if we want to go back
2 years back, I guess we could. But I mean, that's another thing for Magic. Like, if you're not giving him credit for the LeBron signing, then at least give him some blame for not even getting the meeting with Paul George. Like, you can say whatever it was, but he didn't get meetings with other guys, and he didn't do enough to get San Antonio to even listen seriously about Kawhi.
It might have also been like a lack of foresight, because I think a huge part of not getting the Paul George meeting and losing out on Kawhi now, where Kawhi is apparently very realistically going to the Clippers.
I basically got it locked.
A huge part of that, I think, is that those guys don't want to play with LeBron. And so being so hell-bent on getting LeBron when the biggest factor for him going to the Lakers was like, I need to live in LA so I can produce my movies.
That's it, though. That is why he went to LA.
It has nothing to do with Magic.
No.
It has nothing to do with that uniform. It has nothing to do with that organization.
I think he trusted Magic enough to be able to build something around him that could at least compete, which I don't think Magic has lived up to his end of that bargain. And on top of that, now he's had a bad deadline, too, because everything that got out with the Anthony Davis stuff is laughably ridiculous. It had people covered this league for 30 years that never seen anything like it.
Exactly. And that's where this is where I go back to LeBron, because after the Pelicans loss, he went to the locker room and he asked all the players, is basketball the most important thing in your life at this time? If you're Brandon Ingram...
There's a mirror at.
Yeah, if you're Brandon Ingram, you're Kyle Kuzma, and you're looking at this guy saying, is basketball the most important thing to you in your life right now, while he's promoting Space Jam 2 2 years early, A&Ring 2 Chainz's new album, producing an HBO show, all at the same time... How do you look at this guy and go, are you fucking serious?
Doesn't he have other shows too?
Yeah, he's on everything. He's in movies.
Yeah.
He's doing voice acting in that animated movie coming out.
I don't know.
Like, he's all over Hollywood.
That's why he went there. Like, everybody knew that.
Like, he wants to produce rap albums. It's part of why he's in L.A.
I saw Shaq dropped a song the other day.
Excellent. I have to listen to it.
I didn't hear it yet.
I must listen to it.
It's like the first one in 20 years, I think. I saw
his
it on
album was...
Kazam.
So, anyway, like... I think it's time to talk about, like, how hard must it be to play with LeBron? He doesn't make it easy.
I mean, playing with LeBron, aside from the actual,
it's almost like unless you're a superstar,
yeah.
It's going to be rough.
Aside from the demands on the court, like, you have to deal with everything else that comes with being on LeBron James' team. Like, you heard Kyrie say this week, or maybe not this week, last week, when he said, like, people need to get off their damn phones. Like, maybe he was talking about how LeBron used to do things. Because that's how he used to talk to his teammates in Cleveland. He hasn't done it so much in LA, but like, this is another thing that just adds up for the LeBron, like, oh, I'm just going to subtweet somebody, or basically the organization at some points.
Yep.
It all goes hand in hand with being teammates with LeBron. It's like you have to deal with all this other shit too.
And like, the one that's not talked about enough, and that's probably the most difficult, is if you're playing with LeBron, it will always be your fault. You will never get credit for winning, and you will always hold credit for losing.
Playing for LeBron and playing under Magic Johnson is like,
because the media will storm to lift Magic and to lift LeBron, and they will pound you if you don't help them. Like, that's why Kyrie left Cleveland. I still think is like, dude, he won that finals. Like, Game 5, he was the best player. I know, like, LeBron did a lot, but if you're Kyrie,
he clinched those finals.
If you're Kyrie, this is how you view it, because Game 5, he was the best player on the floor. Game 7, he hit the shot that won the game. Like,
Brown made the block.
Right, but if again, like,
either way, they don't win without either of them.
The shot doesn't happen if the block doesn't happen, and I always said, but it is like Kyrie hit that shot, and there's something in Kyrie's mind that's like, dude, I won that finals. nobody gives him credit for it.
It's not just something. That's basically all of Kyrie's thinking.
Like, they don't even say the Cleveland Cavaliers won the finals. They say LeBron beat the Golden State Warriors.
LeBron came back from 3-1 down.
Like, Kyrie's name is never in there, even though he hit the shot.
They really should have lost Game 5. Like,
Kyrie
when they went
dragged
back,
them
even
through
without
Game 5.
even without Draymond, like, Cleveland should have lost to Golden State. That game, that should have been over in 5.
What did he? Kyrie scored like 50. He went off.
I don't remember the exact total.
It was probably
but
42 or
especially in the
something.
second half, because that game was over.
Like, Kyrie willed them to
yeah.
victory in that game. Game 6, Game 6 was like Kyrie had 30 and
Game
LeBron
6,
had 40.
everybody knew Cleveland was going to win that game.
Yeah, because they
It's like
could
they're going
shot
back
the
to
lights
Cleveland.
out.
Like, they're coming. Yeah, like once it got past 5, you knew it was going 7.
But then, like, if you're Kyrie, you won that, and nobody brings that up. Nobody says Kyrie hit the shot. They all go, LeBron got the block.
Ray Allen.
Right.
Same deal.
But
Mike Miller.
Then it's weird because, like, the LeBron haters go, oh, Ray Allen bailed him out. But nobody, like, LeBron beat the Spurs. Nobody goes back and says Ray Allen, like, unless you're joking about it and saying Ray Allen bailed him out.
Mike Miller hitting a 3 with one shoe.
Yeah, it's all a part of, like, you will never get credit if you're with LeBron James. And that's what makes it really hard to play with him. And that's why I think the Lakers are in trouble, because you're going to miss on free agents. And unless you get Anthony Davis via trade, there's really no guarantees that he's going to sign
I still think they can get the marginal guys, like the borderline all-star guys, to come, and LeBron could maybe elevate those guys. But, like, I am more and more every day thinking Klay Thompson's not leaving Golden State, so you're not getting him.
Yeah, and especially after he said he's staying.
There's no way in hell you're getting Kevin Durant. I can't imagine you would get Kyrie Irving. I don't know what else. Kemba? You want Kemba?
Everybody thinks Kyrie and LeBron are going to reunite. Like, if Kyrie's going anywhere, he's going to the Knicks. I think
that's the only place he could possibly go.
I don't think that. And we'll get into it, but I don't think he's coming back to the Celtics anymore.
I'll see.
It's just, I think LeBron used to be like, anywhere he goes, we're going to build a big three. Like the 2010 when he went to the Heat, everybody knew it was Bosh and Wade. When he went back to the Cavs, everybody knew he was going to work something out to get Wiggins out of town and bring in a star, whoever it was.
What do you think that team would have looked like with, like, a starting 5 of Kyrie, Deion Waiters, Wiggins, Bron, and Anthony Bennett? That's how bad the Cavs were before he saved them. All these people want to praise Kyrie Irving. If LeBron had never come back, I don't know where Kyrie Irving would be or how we would talk about him as a superstar player, because he might just be the guy who scores 30 a night on a team that wins 21 games.
Yeah.
He might still be that guy if LeBron had never come back.
He would be what Kevin Love was in Minnesota without the triple-doubles.
Except he's only in year 8 now, and Kevin Love was in year 7 when he got traded back then.
Yeah,
so he might be forced his way out of Cleveland this year.
And like, the other thing is that nobody talks about with Kyrie, and now we're getting on a Kyrie tangent, but I don't really think he had a problem being the man on a bad team.
Oh, no, he loved it.
I think he
wanted
really
his own
enjoyed
team
it
the whole time.
I don't know that winning a championship ever meant something to him until he won a championship.
2016, before they won the championship, when he said he was jealous of Dame?
Yeah.
He wanted his own show.
Yeah.
It's like, you're the number 1 team in the East. You're an all-star starter. What do you mean?
That guy's got an ego. That guy's got
like, I'm jealous of Dame because he plays in a market nobody watches. Like, what?
But that's where, like, so Bron used to be the superstar magnet.
Yeah.
And now...
Not hard to recruit in Miami. That's what he used to say. I had trouble getting guys to Cleveland. Miami, it was easy.
Yeah. And now it's like, you're in L.A., bro. This should be a cinch. Like, you should have everybody locked up.
But you're
and
not
ready.
27.
Yeah, you're not 27. You're kind of a dick. And everybody knows exactly what's going to happen in the media if they go and play with you. Like, Paul George doesn't want to be second fiddle because Paul George can never be LeBron James if he's playing with LeBron James.
The only guys who can play with LeBron and be successful are the guys who have supreme confidence in who they are.
Like the Chris Middletons of the world.
I don't even know if I'm pointing more towards like Dwayne Wade's. Like Dwayne, you've never heard Dwayne Wade refer to himself anything other than one of the all-time greats. He knows how good he is. He understands. So you can't tell him as a media member or whoever, you're just LeBron's whatever. He's like, no, I'm Dwayne Wade.
But I think that goes
and he won a championship for LeBron.
Right. And I think that goes the other way, too, though, where you say, like, it's guys who know exactly who they are. It's guys like Chris Middleton that know exactly what their role is, and they don't try to play outside of that.
They get just supreme self-confidence. You have to have it to be around LeBron James.
They know exactly what they do well. They do it well all the time. That's the kind of guy that you need to play with LeBron. Yeah. You can't have streaky guys. You can't have guys who are trying to develop.
You can't have Reggie Jackson.
You can't have Kawhis or Paul Georges who want to be LeBron. You sure as hell can't have Kevin Durant.
And you can't have guys who think they're something other than they are. Like Reggie Jackson. That's where the example I default to.
I have something on him coming up too.
Oh,
but that's where
I have many things on him.
That's where Klay Thompson to me would have been perfect because Klay
Thompson's perfect everywhere. He's the most fittable player in the NBA.
He doesn't want to dribble. He doesn't want to put the ball on the floor. He just wants to get to his spots, shoot, and then play defense. And he's the most incredible 3-and-D guy I have ever seen in my life.
And for everything you just said, that from a basketball standpoint, off the court, he doesn't want to do anything controversial either.
He just wants to make fun of the media,
smoke weed, and hang out with his dog.
And that's it. Like he just wants to be a normal dude.
All he does.
It's incredible.
Like, he's a dude from the islands. Like he's that island raised by people who are from the Bahamas. Like you just got that built into you.
All right, so I got another thing that Ben Golliver said on Open Floor that he talked to a coach, and I want to know how you feel about this. Coach told him that he would rather have Zion Williamson than Luka Doncic.
Like the thing about this for me when you sent this to me was like, it would make sense if a GM said this. If a GM was like, we got to put asses in the seats. Though I think Luka still puts asses in the seats. I agree. But from a standpoint of selling tickets, drawing fan interest, doing all those things that go along with being a general manager in a front office, I could see why you would want Zion. Luka might be the third guy 25 and under that I would take in the NBA if I started a team right now. How old is AD? Is he 20?
Anthony Davis would be the first.
I can't remember if he's 25 or 26.
I think he's 25.
Okay, he would be number 1. Then Luka might fall back to 4. But either way, like Luka Doncic is special.
AD's 25.
I'm not sure what the ceiling for Luka Doncic is, like everybody says. I pump the brakes on that a lot of times because I think like he probably improved a lot more in Europe between 15 and 19 than most 15 to 19-year-olds do. Exactly. And he's probably doesn't have that much further to go to get to his prime.
Most 15 to 19-year-old kids are playing in AAU circuits where a lot less of the development aspect of the game is.
He was a pro at 14.
Yeah.
Like
the AAU circuits are prepping you for college ball where you're still not going to get paid. Like Luka Doncic was living his life exclusively to play basketball.
Completely and utterly. And I just don't think that like he's a guy who's going to peak at 28 the way most of these guys do. I think he's, 19 now? I think you're going to see the best of Luka Doncic by 24. And he might carry that for 10 years. Yeah, I think you're going to see the best of him at 24.
I got to disagree, though. Number one, 25 and under for me is Giannis.
He's not 25?
He's 24.
Fuck me.
Yeah. He's 24.
Holy shit.
I always forget how young Giannis looks because he looks like...
Because now he's a
tower.
Like he was... I remember when he was a babyface kid, I thought then he was 21. Like, Jesus. I guess that only was 4 or 5 years. Oh my God. He's 24?
Yeah. Yeah. My thing with Zion is...
Christ.
I think I probably would rather have him than Luka just because I think his ceiling is higher.
His ceiling probably is higher.
I think Luka's ceiling is all-star, second, third team All-Pro. That's his ceiling.
It just, it depends. Those first team, it's all relative for, how good's their team? How is I think talent-wise, I think he's first team All-NBA.
I think Zion's ceiling would be like league MVP multiple times.
Admittedly, I haven't watched that much college basketball this year. I've seen 2 or 3 games of Zion. I was locked in and ready to go on Wednesday night to watch that one, and 33 seconds in, I didn't get to watch shit, and I was like, God darn it. But either way, he's special. Athletically, he's something we probably haven't seen sans LeBron James, ever.
Anthony Davis, compare LeBron James.
To Charles Barkley. I'm like, no. Bo Jackson, maybe, but
seriously.
Not Charles Barkley. I love Charles Barkley, and he was one of the most dominant power forwards of all time at 6'4", which is amazing in itself. But I think Zion's a different breed.
I think Jay Billis said it best, is everybody tries to compare him to somebody, and you're really just making shit up. Because we've never seen anyone like him. You can't come up with a comparison because there's never been a player that's his size, with his athleticism, with his shooting ability. It's never happened.
Far be it from me to praise Billis, but yeah, he's spot on.
Zion, the closest comparison I ever came up with was Shaq, but he's way shorter.
Oh, he's a foot shorter.
And it's
no, not a foot shorter, but still.
It's he has that type of game, and he's that dominant, but he's way smaller. And it makes him way more interesting to me because, you can space the floor with him. You couldn't space the floor with Shaq
I'm interested to see how his shooting will transfer because he takes a long time to get that thing off.
Yeah, he does have to quicken the jump shot, but that's, again,
But if he's on the Knicks with Kevin Durant, he's going to have space.
We always say in this league, too, if there's one thing you can teach, it's shooting.
Yeah,
Zion's got all the other gifts.
Ben Simmons and Giannis and Lonzo Ball and all these guys are
those
starting
are guys
to make
that don't want to learn it. Giannis, I think, wants to learn it, and he's gotten better. He's shooting 40% this month.
There were times in the Celtics game where I was like, okay, this was going to happen in the playoffs. We'll get to that whole thing.
But he shot 40% in this month from three. So, like, I think Giannis is a different one. Ben Simmons doesn't want to learn to shoot.
No.
He has no interest in
Yusuf Nurkic, and we'll get into that later.
Then there's like Stanley Johnson. That's just he just stinks, and he's had bad coaching and bad player development around him. And
why you bring him up? Why you talk about old stuff? He's gone now. I don't ever have to think about Stanley Johnson again. I'm watching Thon Maker hit big time threes in fourth quarters, and I don't ever need to think about Stanley Johnson again.
All right, you brought up the Celtics playing the Bucks and losing, with Giannis spacing the floor and shooting threes and making threes.
1 3. He made 1 3.
I know he made one. I remember watching it splash, and I was like, did he just make 7 threes? Like, just making one, I'm like, fuck, there's no way we can win. And then they played the Bulls.
I mean,
I don't think I've ever been so angry in my life.
I said it to you when you texted me about it. I was like, well, you beat a team by 60. They're probably going to be a little upset and a little motivated, and it's going to be hard for you to get up to play a team that you beat by 60.
No.
Just a little?
No. You beat this team by 60 because they stink. You beat this team by 60. Dude, they are 16-44 for a reason.
And in fairness, when they beat them by 60, that was like right after Boylan took over and they had a mutiny.
The day after.
They had a leadership council.
On a day where Jim Boylan is saying such outrageous things as...
doing push-ups in practice.
This is yesterday. Jim Boylan said, it's not my job to pave the road for the child. It's my job to prepare the child for the road. Who the fuck do you think you are?
I mean...
like, Wendell Carter needs to come back and just punch that man as hard as he can in the face.
Well, they got rid of Portis, so there's nobody there to do it.
Like, I need somebody to rock Jim Boylan. And then, of course...
God, there's a history of punching people in the face in Chicago, isn't there?
Yeah, there sure is. There sure is. And then, of course, the Celtics go out and lay an egg. And you tried to talk me off the ledge with this. You beat this team by 60.
It's tough to get up to play a team that you beat by 60.
They're probably getting up for it because they lost by 60.
Yeah, but
fuck that.
It's tough for you to get up because you beat them by 60.
Here's my issue: is I've seen this so many times this year. This was the most egregious example of it yet, but this is. Everybody deifies Brad Stevens, especially Celtics fans. Everybody's like, this guy's a fucking genius because his after-timeout plays are incredible. Like, he's the ATO god, and his lineups fucking stink. Like, some of these lineups that he runs are just unacceptable. Terry Rozier last night was a negative 52.2 net.
You were very upset at Terry Rozier
in 16 minutes. Dude, and then Slam Magazine posted this tweet where Terry Rozier's rocking his Pumas and they were like saying some bullshit swerve or something. Like, bro, he needs to apologize to those shoes for having worn them.
I saw those shoes on Instagram. They were hideous.
I don't even care. Terry, apologize to them. You should never have put... He is the worst player. I love Terry as a person. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a funny guy. I think some of the Vines he used to post are incredible. I wish him the best.
I missed him on Vine.
At the start of the year, I wanted him to be a trillionaire. I still want that for him.
Back up the brink.
I just think that he's got some serious flaws that are irreparably damaging to his basketball team, and I would like him to never play on the Celtics again.
Maybe he was just stoned.
No, I'm serious. This has been all year. I'm dead serious. I don't ever want to see him on the floor again. Like, and I will put it on Brad Stevens for putting him out there.
Reggie Jackson for him.
Like, there's no way after 8 minutes. After 8 minutes, he was a minus 15 in a 13-point deficit. After 8 minutes, he should have never seen the floor again. He was out there pulling up curl threes for no reason, 20 seconds into the shot clock, just dribbling the air out of the ball to get himself into the corner. I am so tired of watching this fucking guy. I have no one, like, this is, the thing with him is, too, Kyrie just came out and made those comments, like, Terry Rozier's a guy who thinks he can start, and, like, that battle has put attention on this season. Bro, Terry Rozier reminds me of Reggie Jackson at the end of the OKC days. Where he's like, I'm as good as Russell Westbrook. I can, dude, just sit the fuck back.
I think that's a stretch.
When you're a bench player coming out and putting up 10 shots a game, that's a problem. Especially when you're not making them. Like, he's shooting 37% from the field. He's shooting 10 times a game.
I will give you that. I'm not going to go as far as to say he's Reggie Jackson last year.
I think just a huge part of it is he played so well in the playoffs, and he played so well when Kyrie was injured that he's like, I'm as good as this fucking guy.
But
We got to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Because for Russ, it was like 14 games, and Russ and KD both went out, and Reggie got to be the guy in OKC. And I'm pretty sure in the book, Steven Adams said, like, yeah, his stats look good, but all of us hated playing on the floor with him, and it was clear that it wasn't working. And when they came back, he was pissed, and he still wanted to start, and we were all like, are you kidding me? Like, he can play well, but he played well in 14 games in the regular season. Terry Rozier was a big part of a conference finals run.
But I think, like, he thinks now Kyrie's back, and Kyrie is by far the best player on the team. Well, lately it's been Gordon Hayward.
I will say this. Terry Rozier has every right to think that he is a guy who has led a team to a conference finals. Even if he wasn't the guy. You could say it was Tatum, you could say it was Horford, you could say it was a group effort, whatever.
Jaylen Brown.
He was the point guard. He was the guy leading the team to a conference finals. Kyrie has never done that by himself.
Okay, but like,
I'm not saying Kyrie's
the better player.
I 100% agree with you, but you can see immediately why Terry Rozier thinks that in his head.
And this is where I watch this game, and then I see,
never did.
But then I see the national media go, "This team's better without Kyrie. There's less tension." I'm like, "Have you seen this fucking guy play?"
I get it that like you don't want he's better than Kyrie.
He's the only negative net rating on the entire team. Do you know how hard that is to be on this team? On a team this talented, when you're asked to play 15 minutes a night, do you know how hard it is to be negative net?
I can just say, I don't know. I took this stat from 11 days ago. This was February 13th. That without Kyrie this year, the Celtics are 8-2. Their points per game is 113.
Six of those wins were at home against sub 500 teams.
True, but 113.5, and their points per game difference is 10.2. And with them, they're 28-19. They're down 3 points, and they're down 5 points in points per game differential.
But their offensive rating goes up.
So you have Kyrie Irving on the floor, but at the same time, are they playing better as a whole, or are they playing better on offense because he's ISOing all the time?
I would like him to ISO less. I'll say this.
I still think they're better with Kyrie.
I absolutely think they're better with Kyrie. Like there's no question in my mind about it. I would like him to ISO less, and I would like him to shoot threes more. Those are two things that I
play a little
want.
more like Curry and a little less like Jordan.
A little less like James Harden, please.
Sure.
I shoot more threes, ISO a lot less.
I don't think anybody plays like James Harden.
Right. And I know, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And like maybe try to play off ball a little more. Just a little more.
They have other guys who can handle the ball.
Let Jaylen Brown handle the ball because he's been playing really well lately. By the way, like if Brad Stevens is listening to this, stop fucking playing Terry Rozier, get Marcus Morris the hell out of the starting lineup, and start starting Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown deserves to be back in the starting lineup.
I'm going to give Kyrie Irving a piece. Of course, I'll never hear this, so whatever. But I'm going to give Kyrie Irving a piece of advice that I never thought would come out of my mouth. Look at 2015 and go back and watch Atlanta tape to see how Jeff Teague played off of Millsap and played off of Horford.
Yes.
Because that dude helped them get to a conference finals without really doing a whole bunch.
I appreciate Kyrie iso ball, and I always say when I look back at that Cavs series that went 7 games to the Eastern Conference Finals, the reason they lost that series is because there were 4 to 5 minute stretches where they could not score the ball movement wasn't working, and they just needed a guy who would take the ball, run iso, and score. 3 to 6 points in that stretch.
That's when you need Kyrie.
And that's when I need Kyrie to go, all right, fourth quarter Kyrie, when he goes, dude, fuck this, I'm taking over.
Game time Kyrie.
It's untucked Kyrie, iso ball, he's finishing at the rim, he's taking deep threes that nobody can anticipate, and he's just wet.
Usually.
That's what I need from Kyrie. I don't need untucked Kyrie in the first 3 quarters when you should be the ball distributor. Why did I say that like that? Anyway,
it's fine.
You should be passing more and getting everybody else involved and getting everybody else hot. Because if you get to the fourth quarter and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are confident in their jump shots, ISO Kyrie is 15 times better when he can kick to the corner.
Even on top of that, he could be a guy who maybe for let's say he plays 32 minutes a night, maybe for 17 of those minutes you can do what you want. And then maybe the other 15, you run off screens and you try and be a catcher. You let out Horford and Gordon Hayward run the offense a little bit.
Yes,
because you're a threat with your spacing and the way you move off screens and curl and shoot. You can be that kind of. You can be Curry like that for a little while. You're as good at a shooter as Steph Curry, but you're a good shooter. You can do that, and you have good enough passers in your point forwards in Hayward and Horford that you can get away with that. Go back and watch Jeff Teague and Korver. They did it.
I think the biggest thing with the Celtics is they put together this piecemeal starting lineup with Marcus Morris and Marcus Smart, and they did this thing where we're going to get through our rough times with this lineup, and then they just have never wavered from it.
Well, I think more so is because that lineup's based on that's their best defensive lineup.
Right, and it was also like Jaylen Brown's not playing too well. Gordon Hayward's still coming back from his injury. Those two things aren't really true anymore. Gordon Hayward's playing really well. Jaylen Brown's playing really well. Marcus Smart is back down to earth in three-point shooting. Marcus Morris is back down to earth in three-point shooting. Maybe let's go back to the opening night lineup and put Kyrie and Jaylen
Hayward back in
and
too?
Jason Tatum. Yeah, Kyrie, Brown, Tatum, Hayward, and Horford. I'm ready.
I kind of like Hayward spelling whoever is the primary playmaker and coming in and being that. I think he does that really well.
I miss Marcus Smart off the bench. One thing about Marcus Smart off the bench too, I think Smart plays well with Terry. Like, because Smart being on the floor
well with everybody,
right? And he being on the floor, like he injects energy into whatever lineup is out there. Like, I just think there's no way if he's on the floor, you can't play bad defensively because he's doing so much to put you in the right spot.
You can't dribble around Marcus Smart. Like, you really can't. He doesn't, like, let people dribble the ball.
He's insane. Yeah. Like in the Milwaukee game when he was in the paint and he just ripped the ball out of Giannis's hands.
I've got a whole thing on that Milwaukee game that, like, terrifies me about Milwaukee now. Like, everything that I saw in that game was like, okay, this is exactly what I was worried about. I got high on Milwaukee for a couple of weeks. I had them at 2 in the power rankings, and then I watched that game, and in the second half, their half-court offense was alarmingly bad. I mean, they got slowed down. Eric Bledsoe, who is my boy this year, disappeared. I mean, completely disappeared in that game.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even know he was out there.
I'm still very confident in the Celtics going to the finals because what I saw in the second half of that game from Milwaukee was really rough. And it's going to be, like I said last week, in a 7-game series, the Celtics are going to be the best team 4 times.
It is exactly what I've worried about the whole year with them. Is like, yeah, when they get out and they run, Giannis is unbelievable in the open court. One of the best I've ever seen in my entire life in the open court. And Bledsoe can fly. And Middleton and Brogdon are so great at sprinting to the wings. And they're good passers. They're willing passers. And Lopez trails the play. And that's a great offense. But what happens when there's 13 seconds on the shot clock and somebody's got to make a play? Giannis has the ball 30 feet away and the defense is standing 15 feet from him. Because that happened a lot of times, and both teams got held under 100 in that game.
And he'll shoot sometimes, but it's rarely going to go in.
He shot twice.
Yeah, and it went in once.
There were
it's
a
not
lot
always
of
going to be
14-foot
50%.
floaters that hit the front of the rim and fell off.
And it was like a lot of times too. Even the broadcast team referenced this has to be the next evolution of his game, or it's not going to go very far. Like,
well, I mean, he could win MVP this year without it. I think he probably will win MVP this year without it.
I'm still on Paul George.
He should be.
When he iced that
in front
Utah
of both
game.
those other guys. But Paulie Teardrop. That's my new nickname for him. Paulie Teardrop.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because Giannis tried that shot about 6 times against Boston and hit the front of the rim and fell off every time. Like, he's got to find something other than dunking.
All right, you want to get to the power rankings?
Sure.
All right, I'll start off number 5. This might be odd, but I'm just shocked by how well they've weathered adversity. Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, I don't have them on. Don't even have them on honorable mention.
Really?
Really. Took them on honorable mention.
8-2 in their last 10. They're on a 3-4 game winning streak. Dude, I love how they played. I love what Sabonis has done.
I mean, I really like them. You don't win playoff series without a star.
I don't think they're going to win a playoff series, but as power ranking goes,
true.
They're a fun watch.
They're a fun watch. Sure, they play a great brand of basketball. I don't watch them that much, but they play a great brand of basketball. They're guys who I didn't think were nearly as good as they are great players. Bogdanovich, I've been like, no, I'm not going to say no. Never mind. I like Bogdanovich. I was like randomly about to be like, he could be. No, never mind. But they're a good team. I have 4 teams in honorable mention that I think are better than them: in Denver, Portland, Boston, and Philly. Those are my 4 honorable mentions.
I'd say Boston's not even in my honorable mentions. I'm so mad at them.
I only put them in honorable mention because I still think they're probably the favorite to come out of the East.
I agree, but I'm just so mad at them.
I have zero confidence in their chemistry. I don't know what to make of their locker room situation or their overall perception of each other or their perceived hierarchy on the floor.
I'm pretty much sold on Kyrie's leaving because, man, he looked just fucking tired of playing with these guys.
Well, maybe they can get the guys out of there. Maybe they don't have to leave. Maybe he doesn't have to leave. Maybe everybody else can leave.
Maybe they just trade everybody for Anthony Davis.
Maybe they can do that.
Maybe they just ship Rozier.
Maybe what he was saying in the hallway is once we trade everybody, we'll still have 2 max slots. We'll get rid of Horford and Hayward, and we'll have me, you, AD, and 2 max slots.
Like, I genuinely think Tatum and Marcus Smart are the only 2 guys that Kyrie actually likes. Like, I don't know that him and Al Horford really have a relationship, even though they have maybe one of the two best two-man attacks in basketball.
I feel like it's really hard not to like Al Horford.
I know, but but I also think like they're not close friends. Like, I think him and
Al
Marcus
Horford's
Smart
got
are
kids and a
tight.
wife, and he probably doesn't do much. Yeah, like, I don't know.
I think Kyrie and Tatum are tight. I think maybe Kyrie and Jalen are cool, but like
Tatum's a homebody too, right? He talks about that. He stays home with the kid. I don't know. Who knows? Kyrie's a different cat. Like I said,
he's a weird guy.
My honorable mentions: Denver, 3-3 in their last 6. They beat 3 non-playoff teams. They lost to 3 playoff teams.
Yeah, they're looking more and more like the team I was kind of worried about if they're going to make noise in the playoffs.
The last thing I wrote in bold is, it seems like it's creeping into everyone's mind that they're the team LeBron's going to upset in the first round.
Yeah, LeBron's got to get to the first round first.
That's the thing. Is like that would be it. The second
that's
team,
my worry
second
right
team
now.
from the West is Portland, only because Yusuf Nurkic responded to "You talk a lot of shit for someone who's ass" with one of the most savage Instagram posts of all time by saying, "I shoot better than Ben Simmons." Phenomenal.
I'm a huge Yusuf Nurkic fan at this point in my life.
Philly, Embiid's knee is now the definition of the rest of their season. It defines the rest of their season, plain and simple. If it's an issue, they have to completely change the way they play, which might be fun. Who could see what they could do with Harris and Butler and Simmons in a running gun? But if his knee is an issue going forward, they're the team that gets rolled in the second round.
I was going to say that they might be the team that gets rolled in the first round.
If they're the 4, they could lose to Indiana, no doubt. Or if they're the 5, they could lose to Indiana, no doubt.
Yeah, I was thinking 5 would play 4, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 play.
Right now it would be Sixers Celtics in the first round. The Sixers are out.
Yeah, I mean, whether Embiid's healthy or not, that's a tough one for them.
If they go up a spot, it's Sixers Nets. Give me the Nets.
I don't know. Without Embiid, sure.
Yeah, and that's like if Embiid's not 100%.
Yeah. Even if he's 80%, I'll still take the Sixers. But
if somehow the Pacers fall that much, like I think the Pacers can beat them. They really need to get into the 3 or the 2.
The Sixers can't beat anybody from the other group of 5. Like from the group of 5, they're the team that right now, without Embiid, they're not beating anybody.
They're in a really rough spot. I don't know. I think Indiana's the favorite to not get out of the first round, but man, there's no way I think Philly's going to.
If Embiid's out, they're not getting through it.
Like, I think they can beat every team behind them except for Boston, and Boston is the only one that they are currently in line to play. So, like, that stinks.
All right. So, honorable mention on Denver, Portland, Boston, and Philly. For number 5, I put Houston in. I put Houston back in. I had them in honorable mention. Denver and Portland both have better records, and I love Dame. But Houston, to me, is still the second most dangerous team in the West.
Got Capella back.
They got Capella back, and I don't expect Kenneth Faried to play like he did on Saturday night that often. But when he does, and when you see having another mobile big who rolls hard and somehow makes threes, it does unbelievable things for their spacing, even without Harden on the floor. And I will say this, they have exactly 3 Chris Paul performances like that left before something in his lower body gives out. Yeah. Like, he is not doing that every night.
Fun fact. They have not lost to Golden State this year.
That's true. They used one of those performances on Saturday night to beat Golden State in February, though. They cannot. They have 3 more. That's it.
The other thing is, like, you're the 5 seed in the West. You're not staving off Golden State to the conference finals. Like, let's be realistic.
I don't think Harden's really hurt. Like, a neck strain and the flu doesn't give me pause about the rest of the season. But Chris Paul playing like that, man, I was waiting for it at some point in that fourth quarter. I was like, D'Antoni's playing too many minutes.
The other fear for me with Houston is, like, right now, like, if the season ends today, which we're getting close, so it's kind of at a point where
games,
we're kind of at a point where we can start looking at playoff matchups because there might not be a whole lot of movement, especially in a West where every team is separated by 2 games. Right now, they'd play Portland. And I think Dame and CJ McCollum are real tired of losing first-round series. Also, throwback to when Dame iced Houston in Game 7 with a buzzer beater in 2014.
Was that 14? That was 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Dear God. I mean, I've repeatedly stated my love for Damian Lillard on this podcast and on many other platforms. I still think Houston wins that series. If Paul's healthy. Though,
are we going to see playoff James Harden? Portland's really good at home,
I will say about Portland, too, the Enes Kanter move. Good move.
Really good move. It's a move I wanted the Celtics to do.
questioned it because it's like you're basically telling Zach Collins you're not ready yet, and we're only going to play you 5 minutes a night now for the rest of the season. And you're telling Myers Leonard, who makes, I think, $12.5 million, you're not even going to play. You're done. Like, we will use you in spot situations when we need a big who can shoot threes, but Kanter can kind of shoot threes, so now they're not even going to use him. Like, I don't really get that to bring in Canner and be like, we're only bringing him in for a half a year. His contract's going to be up. We're not going to pay him. And it just tells Zach Collins, hey, we don't think you're good enough right now and we want to run. But, I mean, Nurk and Canner are the new Fulton and Portman. It's Bash Bros 2.0.
Yeah, I think they're a fun team, dude. I do. I think
they need a wing.
And
Jake Layman does not want to give minutes to Rodney Hood.
They definitely do need a wing, and it's like nobody wants to give minutes to Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood's so weird because he feels like an asset, but then he never plays anywhere he goes.
Bro, he should be playing there. The problem is like they traded for him, and then Jake Layman was like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
And now he's playing really, really well, and he's not giving minutes to Rodney Hood.
And if that's the worth that you have to get out of trading for Rodney Hood, so be it.
So that Jake Layman could step up.
Number 4, I have the Toronto Raptors. They were much, much higher, as high as a number that starts with O at one point, and then they lost to Orlando, which is a theme of good teams this year.
I had them at 3. I didn't have them at 1. I said I had to change it after the Orlando thing, but I didn't have them at 1.
This 7-game win streak and the way Kawhi's been playing lately, and I just think this whole team's coming together. I still have questions about the playoffs, obviously.
Today was their first loss in the month of February.
Yeah,
they had not lost in February until today.
They've been playing probably the best they've played all year until today.
I'll talk about them in a minute because I have them at 3. 4, I had Milwaukee. I dropped them back down because that second half really, really alarmed me for this is what they are in the half court.
I thought they showed a lot of toughness in winning, so I kept them pretty high.
I need to find Bledsoe's numbers for that game because that is the one that I was just like, whoa, you can't disappear like that bad.
They got playoff Bledsoe.
I'm so nervous to call it playoff Bledsoe because it's just Boston Bledsoe. It's only one sample size. He only played one team in the playoffs last year. I don't know if it's playoff Bledsoe or if Boston just has him. But I
think it's certain guys that
he had 5 points on 2 for 9 in 32 minutes.
I think
1 assist and 3 rebounds.
Yeah, I think it's certain guys that Brad Stevens, this is where I do love Brad Stevens. He knows how to eliminate certain guys on your team. Bledsoe is one. Ben Simmons is another. He just knows how to take them away.
I think it's more. It's not so much eliminating Bledsoe as it's eliminating letting Giannis be anything other than a scorer. They're just if you get to the lane and you score, that's fine.
Yep.
But we're going to make Chris Middleton go 5 for 14 and Brook Lopez go 4 for 11 and Malcolm Brogdon go 6 for 14 and Eric Bledsoe go 2 for 9 and Nikola Mirotic go 3 for 7.
That's what they did. That's what they do to Philly, too.
And they lost the game, though, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of that was because they couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat in the first half.
They got held under 100.
Okay. Well, number 3, then, I'll get to Oklahoma City.
Okay.
I wanted them to be higher. I almost wanted them to be all the way high. I am just so in love with what Paul George is doing. The way that he hit that floater to end a double OT marathon against the Utah Jazz, who are also playing really, really well.
Donovan Mitchell was outstanding in that game.
That was maybe the game of the year.
It was awesome.
It was maybe the game of the year. I just, dude, Paul George has been outstanding. Both sides of the floor. He's been, I would argue this year, he's been the most clutch player in the NBA.
He's living up to that Gatorade commercial. Finally. But,
and I don't know that I ever thought I would say that Paul George has been the most clutch player in the league.
When the Gatorade commercial came out, he was 0 for 11 on game-winning attempts or something like that.
This man can't miss at the buzzer now. It's outrageous.
He's Paulie Teardrop forever now. I'm only going to call him that. Well, I'll call him some other stuff.
Hopefully he can give playoff P a little respect.
We're mixed up at 2, 3, and 4 because my guess is you have Milwaukee at 2.
I do.
Okay, so I have Toronto at 3 and then OKC at 2. But my Toronto, we talked about it for a second there. They hadn't lost in February. Gasol got his first start today. This is the first time he started, so that's a little interesting that they lose this game, and I think it was probably just a matchup with Vucevic, but they sent Serge to the bench, which is something to watch. I don't know how Serge Ibaka is going to take going to the bench. I haven't heard the post-game yet. I wonder if anybody asked him about it, but Gasol is playing somewhere between 17 and 22 minutes a night. I don't know what he played today. I'll look it up, but that's a number where I thought he might play more as time goes on because you didn't trade for Pau Gasol. He played 24 minutes tonight, and he had 16 points on 7 of 13. But, Serge played 24 also. So, who knows how that's going to play out.
One, that's a really good problem to have when you have to split minutes between Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka.
Unless it becomes a thing where Serge Ibaka is I'm done splitting minutes.
The problem with it is, too, is, they're almost the same player. They're just kind of stretch bigs.
Yeah, I mean, they do different things for you, but... Sure. In the end, they're stretch bigs who can play defense and protect the rim.
Yeah, and that's
Gasol's a better passer.
I think it's a good problem
a better
to
rim
have. Like, the best thing I can say about it is I think it's a really good problem that they have. And I think they'll figure it out. But, yeah, if it ruins chemistry because Serge is going to the bench, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, also Kawhi Leonard didn't play today.
So you have Milwaukee at 2?
No, I had Milwaukee at 4. I have OKC at 2.
Okay. I don't know why I'm all mixed up. Okay, dude. You said Houston's the second most dangerous team in the West to you. I think OKC is the second most dangerous team in the West.
When they're healthy, like Houston,
and I think
Houston's so often not healthy that's correct. And you know what? I said that. I'm taking that back. OKC's the second most dangerous team in the West.
I think if you get George, if you get Paul George with a fire under his ass to a conference finals, Golden State, who by the way looks a little like the chinks in the armor are back out.
We'll see. I'm not ready to go.
Like, I'm not too worried. And the other thing is, like, we always say this with this team because they just don't give a shit in the regular season.
I mean,
and they're the one seed anyways.
Literally said that. KD said it last night when they asked him about Draymond. Is Draymond hurt? Are you worried? He said, no, he'll be back for the playoffs. We don't really care about anything else here.
Yeah, like,
said it out loud.
You just
we got 20 games left, and they don't matter to us.
Everybody's like Kevin Durant. He looks upset, or like no. Steph Curry. The chinks are starting to show. Klay Thompson's talking about he wants to leave. I'm like, dude, none of this actually matters until we get to a playoff series when they really are playing basketball.
And that's why I don't look at that game last night as being like anything other than like.
You think the playoff Warriors are starting down 25 to the Suns?
Even that, like,
no.
Look at last night. The second they found out Harden wasn't playing, they didn't give a shit anymore. Like, they knew that if they wanted to win that game, it was because Harden came in last time, gave them 50, and beat them on a last-second shot, and they only wanted to beat Harden. Once they found out he wasn't playing, they didn't give a shit about that game last night. It started off weird. Durant missed 2 free throws to start the game.
Clint Capella. Yeah, they started. They were down 15-0. Yeah. They didn't hit a shot
Durant
for the first.
Missed a pair of free throws to start the game. I've never seen anything like that.
Like, you just know they don't care, and the fact that they don't care and they're still the 1 seed in the West means maybe they're better than they've ever been, and
I think they are better. They have Boogie Cousins.
We're all just looking for a way to go, yeah, they're not going to do it this year. But the only way they're not going to do it this year is if, by some miracle, the Celtics make it to the finals and play so far over their own heads, and Brad Stevens puts the 7 best coaching performances of his life together.
I still don't think they would.
Like, even if all of that, like, if you get 2015 finals or 2016 finals Kyrie,
you'd have to have that and the Warriors not play the level of that they can.
And you get superstar Jason Tatum, and you get playoff Al Horford, and you get playoff Jaylen Brown, and you get playoff Terry Rozier, and you get Brad Stevens coaching the best he's ever coached. It still might not be enough.
If you have all of those things, which is just like, I mean, the odds of that are astronomically awful. But if you have all of those things, you still need them to not play as well as they can. Because if they play as well as they can, they're the most talented team of all time, and you're not going to beat them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just plain and simple. It's a fact. Look at how much talent they have.
I was listening to a Bill Simmons thing, and I always just don't like when Bill Simmons analyzes basketball.
Yeah, it's fair.
He said that he thinks the 86 Celtics are the best team of all time.
Shouts out to Bill Walton. Other than that, I have nothing to say about it. I don't have a response other than shouts out to Bill Walton.
Bill, we know you're a Celtics fan. Maybe not the hill to die on. Like, 96 Bulls.
I don't listen to what Bill Simmons says
for Warriors.
Like, this is why I don't listen to your podcast, Bill. This is why, like...
He said his dark horse team was the second Lakers team with Kobe and Shaq.
01?
Yeah.
What?
And that's how we'll end the Monday Mashup.
What?
This week. Thanks for listening. As always, brought to you by Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Have another drink, Bill.
Yeah. Jeez, oh, Pete. Give us a follow on Twitter, by the way,
please,
at Norling Shea.
Kevman_McCann.
Yeah, I get my jokes off on there.
I
Have a good
try.
week, guys.